latest news, insights, and behind-the-scenes action from the world of stock car racing. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual observer, we're bringing you the checkered flag and coverage. So buckle up, grab your favorite drink, and get ready to make the next left turn with us, where every lap is an adventure.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Next Left Turn. This is a Variety Sports Network production. Year 2. Aaron Cashman joins me. This is Josh Edwards from the Sunday Stretch. You guys have seen Aaron on the 5-hole. Aaron's been everywhere with us. He kind of just pops in where he fits in, and since he's a sports guy, he fits in everywhere. He's back with me again. We're going to do the Next Left Turn again this season. We hope you guys had a lot of fun with it. We had fun with it. That's why we decided to come back. Format's going to be a little bit different this year, but tonight's show is going to be probably the longest one of the year. Obviously, we're going to talk about Daytona. Aaron, how was your offseason? Did you get any downtime? There was a lot of things that happened in the offseason. Lots of guys moving different teams. Stuart Haas is gone. Guys in all different looking cars this year. No major changes to the cars. A little bit of rule changes here and there. Anything stick out to you before we get into the 500?
Yes, Justin Allgaier's 40 car. Mint. That was
beautiful.
The best so far. Very beautiful. And I guess Chris Stapleton was there the whole race in the pit box. But yeah, I'm waiting on JR Motorsports to get some charters, man. That was what I was kind of waiting on, because they were saying a lot like, oh, look at this, something's gonna happen. I thought they were gonna get some charters, but I'm waiting for that.
Another season, maybe 2. Worst case scenario, I'm hoping. You just got a feeling that he's going to do great things with an organization, and he may be the next. I'm not going to say Penske or Hendrick, but maybe the next RCR, or maybe he can rebuild and be a DEI 2.0.
Well, I was listening to a lot of DEI stories. I don't think he wants to be like DEI.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Take the Earnhardt name and carry it on, and the prestige it deserves. So that's what I'm hoping he can do with it, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. But other than that, it was pretty good, though. Everything was just going like too fast. A lot of things were going down. Rolex 24. I think I have like 2 hours left to watch it, even though I did watch most of it. So yeah,
it was a good race.
So I think I'm gonna try to do more racing stuff, watching more racing stuff this year.
Dude, Rolex 24 was really, really good. I almost wanted to do a short on it, but I was like, there's so much there to cover. So I didn't want to dive into that. We'll probably do an Indy 500 coverage again this year, since everybody seemed to like that so much. I don't know why we wouldn't do it again. But yeah, I mean, lots of guys switching teams this year. I honestly had to watch all of the Daytona stuff this week so I could figure out where everybody was at and what number they were going to be. And I still don't have it down, because even in stage 3 tonight, I was like, hold on, who's that? So
I think the best new driver is going to be Josh Berry.
Dude,
with the Wood brothers,
sure.
21 car, he knows what he's doing. Like Dale Jr. still praises him.
Penske technology and power behind that car and that team too, so that's going to help. He'll have some information to feed back and forth to the Penske boys. So, and I like Josh Berry. I rooted for him when he was at Stuart Haas. But we'll get to this later. We're going to talk about Haas racing a little bit later here. But let's dive into it. The 67th running of the Daytona 500. So anyone who's watched NASCAR for either Gen 5 or Gen 6 or now the Gen 7 cars, we all know that these races at the big tracks, Daytona, Talladega, Pocono, these are fuel-saving races for the first 70% of the race, and then it's time to actually race. So here's what happened in stage 1. They saved a ton of fuel. There was a long rain delay after 10 laps. There were a bunch of lead changes. No major action until there was 3 laps left in the stage. And I say there were a bunch of lead changes. I mean, Briscoe led, Cindric led, Byron led, Dillon got up there to the lead for a while. And that was all in the first 10 laps. Then you had Byron, LaJoy, Logano, Elliott. Logano went back to the lead. I mean, there was a lot of lead changing, no major action. Like I said, big rain delay. They moved the race up to start to try to get halfway through the race. By the time the rain hit, that didn't work. They should have just left it normal time and not waste an extra hour of my day. I'm sure some of you feel that way as well. Aaron, did that save you? Did that bother you at all that it worked out that way?
I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to go at this time tonight or a little bit later, because I was like, oh my God, they're not going to start till like 5:30. And knowing Daytona, there's always like 14, 15 cautions. And I was like, dang, man, this is going to be till almost like 12 o'clock. But honestly, I think it was 7 or 8 is not that bad for a Daytona 500.
No, not with that delay. I mean, they got through pretty quickly. There weren't a ton of cautions in this race. But we did have a good one. Not a good one. It was decent action. Basically, with 3 laps to go with stage 1. There's a big checkup off the start. It's off of a restart. Logano actually has something go wrong with his car. They talk about this at the start of stage 2. So the whole field checks up. Hamlin ends up checking. Zane Smith ends up checking up. He ends up tagging the rear bumper of Hamlin. Hamlin gets sideways. He goes down the apron. Everybody scatters. Zane Smith, Josh Berry gets collected, which was really unfortunate. And this leads to Joey Logano winning stage 1. But here's a clip of that action for us now.
Yeah, that inside line is going to stack up, and Denny Hamlin is just at the end of that stack up and checks up and gets hit from behind.
Yep.
From the 38.
Almost had it saved.
And you saw Zane Smith hit the door of the 2 car right there and spin out. That happens a lot. You hit that right front end of the door, and all of a sudden the car will just whip around.
So Ross Chastain's point of view.
Still out there. On your tight out back.
Just accordioned on him.
Outside.
So if I recall correctly, they were actually in a commercial
of keeping
when that happened.
Yeah.
And they were doing the side-by-side dual screen, and my daughter was sitting on my lap, and she's trying to ask me questions, and they're in Ross Chastain's rear view, and you see it happen live. And I'm like, honey, stop, hold on, wait. So it was kind of cool to get to watch it live from that perspective. It doesn't happen all that often when you're watching a race. So, I mean, it wasn't a massive accident, but it does end up in stage 1. Joey Logano at that point does get to get the stage win.
Stage 1 at a caution.
Yeah, stage 1. I mean, that happens a lot, though. I feel like at Daytona. I feel like that happens a lot nowadays, period. But, it is what it was. So, Logano wins stage 1. He gets the points. Keselowski's second, Blaney in third, Stenhouse Jr. in fourth, Christopher Bell fifth, Alex Bowman sixth, Daniel Suarez seventh, Tyler Reddick eighth, Eric Jones ninth, and then William Byron gets that last stage point, finishing 10th in stage 1. And then we're on to stage 2. Aaron, tell us about stage 2.
Oh man, I saw my guy that I picked, Michael McDowell, was doing pretty good. I forgot that he was in a Chevy this year. So when I picked, I was like, yeah, Michael McDowell, like the 34 car. Oh, wait a minute, he's 71 now.
Yeah, that was a change.
He was doing well. Chase Elliott was doing well. He was flying. I think at one point he came up average 7 spots, because I think there was 2 pits that happened, so it was averaging 7 to get back up there. I thought, okay, maybe Chase is going to get it, because they had to jinx him 2 weeks ago at Bowman Gray by saying, oh, well, the last time Elliott won Bowman Gray, they won Daytona. And I was like, oh, that means he's not getting it. But the way his car was, the way he was aggressive, I thought my guy Chase Elliott was going to get it. But second stage 2 in general, wasn't too bad. It was pretty good racing.
Yeah, it was good. It was good speedway racing. Again, not a ton of action. You had a couple small accidents. We had cautions for debris 2 or 3 times today. That was a little bit annoying, but that's kind of what happens when you got 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts happening in the area. So, yeah, stage two. I apologize. I said that last caution was caused by Joey Logano having an issue with his vehicle. It was actually the caution at the restart of stage two. That was the stack up. If I recall, the first thing they tried to fix, he ends up going a lap down. Ends up getting the lucky dog later. But the first thing they tried to fix, it didn't. It was like the ECU, and then that kind of fixed it, but it didn't fix it all the way. Then they brought him back in, and it was actually the throttle body. They got the throttle body fixed, and then it was almost like the car had no issues, and he was back up there. He ended up getting the lucky dog back on the lead lap, and within like 15 laps of that, he was like in 12th place. Logano had the best car today at the track. Penske had the Penske team had the best setup today, and I know I'm a Penske guy, but I'm not even being biased right now. Kyle Busch made a statement after his accident that Logano had the best car on the track today.
Yeah, he definitely did, especially because when he was down a lap, him and Shaman Ginsburg were down. I think Shane was down 2. I think SVG.
Yeah.
But once that caution came out for Logano, he was flying. He was trying to get right back on the lead lap, and sure enough, of course he did. But yeah, because that caused another accident with Logano, right? Because his car was dying, so it was like bump, 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 bump.
Well, that was the one where they figured out that that's where they thought the ECU went bad, and it was actually the throttle body. That was that.
Yeah.
That's where that happened. So I mean, really, it's a lot of. I mean, stage two is a lot of side by side racing. You never get the one big line that takes off and stretches the field. It's all side by side. We get a lot of 3 wide racing throughout this race. It was good. It was clean for the most part. We definitely didn't see much aggression until stage 3, and we all expected that. I mean, if you don't expect that at this point at these tracks, then either you've never watched NASCAR, you don't understand the strategy, how the races work now with stage points and everything, or you're probably, and I mean this with no disrespect, you're probably an older boomer who hasn't adapted to the new strategy of the game. And I struggle with that in baseball, and I'm not a boomer, so don't take it personal. I'm just making an assumption about people I've never met. I hope to not offend any of you. But yeah, stage 2 comes to an end, and Ryan Blaney gets the win there, so he takes stage 2, and he does it in like a semi-dirty way. And I don't have a clip for this, but did you get to watch this movie, Makes? So he's pushing Cindric the whole time.
I don't think I did, honestly.
Okay, so the whole time, the last, 15, 20 laps at least, Blaney's just pushing Cindric. He's just making sure he's being a good teammate, just pushing him, staying behind him, making sure he has the lead. And going into coming out of 2 or going into 3, Blaney gives him that big push and sends Cindric out there, and then he falls back. And it just old pro racing move. He just drifts back and waits to get that little push from the guys behind him, and he cuts and takes Cindric, takes the lead from him and wins stage 2.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, go find that clip. I mean, it was textbook drafting super speedway pass. It was beautiful. It was Austin should have known better. Let's just put it that way. Like I can't even get mad at Ryan because it was that textbook. But Ryan Blaney ends up getting stage 2 win. Cindric ends up 2nd. Chase Elliott 3rd. Alex Bowman 4th. Todd Gilliland 5th. Chris Buescher 6th. Eric Jones 7th. Joey Logano 8th. Like I said, he went a lap down, and they took him multiple laps to get a mechanical issue figured out, and he had his way all the way back to 8th by the end of stage 2. Kyle Busch was in 9th, and Bubba Wallace came in 10th. Now, you picked McDowell as your favorite, and you took
Keselowski, because I was like, you know what? Fords dominate Daytona, and I watched the Truck Series Friday night, and at one point, Grant Elfinger was by himself while like 6 Fords were just surrounding him in the top 8. So I was like, all right, let me just pick a 4 as my long shot, because I didn't realize Kyle Busch was that much of a favorite. So I was
he
like,
was the favorite.
I didn't realize he was the favorite. So then I was like, all right, let me just pick Brad Keselowski because he hasn't won Daytona either. So I was just like, all right, let me go with that.
Yeah, I took Blaney because he hadn't won, and then I took Watermelon Man because I like him as an underdog. And he's good at super speedways. He always seems to be there at the end, and he seems to crash in the last right before the checkered falls. So obviously I lost my first one early in the race, and my second guy got taken later. But stage 2 was good. It was better than I anticipated because I really thought I was going to take a nap during stage 2. Or at least close my eyes and listen to the race in the recliner, and it was good enough that I didn't. So I was happy. Let's move on to stage 3. So stage 3, we got 70 laps to go here. We've been under the lights basically since we came back from the rain delay. We had the rain delay, came back, and we had what did they run? They wasted another 12 or 14 laps of just 65 miles an hour, and they even pulled back down, stopped for like another 40 minutes, and then came back. So
yeah,
that was obviously all in stage 1. But so we've been under the lights the whole time. And as soon as that came out, I texted the guys and I was like, "Hey, colder temps, colder track. We're gonna have more grip. We're gonna have higher speeds." I said, "This whole race may be interesting." And the whole goal hope was this race needs to be more interesting than the Super Bowl was. And I think we all got our fill last night with USA and Canada. That was about the best start to a hockey game I've ever seen in my life, which if you don't like hockey, you're insane. If you think the NBA is better than the NHL, you're out of your mind. And if you didn't, I reference you back to last night's USA-Canada matchup. But I wasn't banking on that game being that good. I was relying on the Daytona 500 to be good enough to cover from how bad the Super Bowl was. I would say this weekend totally lived up and surpassed. Would you agree?
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about this weekend is I could not find the Xfinity Series on TV.
They're on the CW exclusively now, so it's going to be a local channel for you.
I looked at it for the C-Dub, and maybe I must not have went that far because it looked like they were still during the day because they had the ARCA series at like 12. So I watched that, but I didn't see the Xfinity series. But I guess I didn't realize they were just on C-Dub.
Yeah, it's just on the CW exclusively.
All
and then, like next week, that race is like 4:00 at Atlanta.
Yeah, okay.
Like Xfinity's getting like night races every week. It looks like I haven't looked at the schedule, but the first 2 are technically light races. So
okay, I'm gonna go off on NASCAR, but okay. But
that's on you, buddy.
It's on me, I guess. But yeah, other than that, I thought because Kevin Harvick was talking about it before the race got back at 5:00 because the temperatures at that time were in like the 60s to start off. I guess that he was actually talking about that, so I was waiting for that like later on in the night. But I knew there was going to be, especially in stage 3, there was going to be like 3 to 4 cautions that are going to make a difference, and sure enough, it did.
Oh yeah, and they all came with 10 laps left. But we'll get to that. So stage 3 starts out pretty calm and pretty relaxed. Everybody's still kind of saving a little bit of fuel because you got to stop in stage 3. You really had to stop in every stage, but the way the race played out, it didn't become an issue. You got to prep for that in stage 3 because the caution usually comes out really, really late. So usually you're going to have to hit that pit. You're going to have to make that pit stop before that caution ever shows up. And it's how much do I do? And do I leave anything that I can come back and touch if there is a caution? Or do I do it all now and I just run to the end of the race? And that's always a strategy that has to be considered. And we didn't see much of that. Like I thought the way that with 20 laps left, I thought we were going to see more of that. And we ended up not because we had so many cautions. But Bubba Walls is up front at the beginning of stage 3. Blaney's there. Cindric's there. It was Toyota and Ford. I mean, Denny Hamlin was up there. It was good, clean racing. It was fun. It was getting interesting. Logano was making his way back up. I mean, he was doing this rise from death this race. I mean, the dude just Aaron, I know you don't like the guy, but have you ever seen a guy go nearly 2 laps down and come all the way back up front to be there at the end of the race? I think I saw Larson do it once.
Yeah, not
that was a short track
for a while.
So, I mean, what Logano was doing today, he was putting on a clinic. He was being phenomenal. But Cindric had the second fastest car out there because that's what Austin Dillon's spotter was telling him. He at the end of the race when it was he had Hamlin was up there and Cindric was up there. There was 2 guys left. He was telling him, you got the best super speedway racer out there to pair with, or you have the fastest car that's left on the track to pair with. You got to pick which one you want to deal with and which one you want to ride with. So Penske had it set up. Blaney was there all day today. But Toyota never seemed to make an impact until the 3rd stage. And that's where you saw all the Toyotas kind of came to the front. And this was after the first big accident in stage 3 because you did have 9 cars go taken out, and I think the majority of them were Fords. Fords and Chevys. But it was, I mean, Toyota came the last 15, 18 laps. Those Toyotas were there, man. And they were running just as well as the Fords. And Chevy's always there. When we're talking about manufacturing, Chevy is, in my opinion, the dominant force in NASCAR as a manufacturer. So it's if you guys don't hear us talk about Chevy, it's implied that Chevy was doing what they were supposed to do. We typically only talk about Chevy as a manufacturer when something's gone wrong. 3 or 4 races where they're not in the top 5. Other than that, we're not going to talk about Chevy. But
yeah,
I mean,
Ford is awesome. Just tracks.
Yeah, it really is. It's tracks and drivers. Because it seems like the tracks that a lot of Fords don't do well on, it's the guys driving the Ford who do well there. That's my opinion. Like, I think Chevys have it hands down on the short tracks, but Toyotas are the best right now on the road tracks. And Fords have it where it counts on the super speedways, but it just doesn't always work out for them. And today was one of those examples, is where I'm going with this part of the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Ford very easily should have won this race, but we have a bonehead in every Daytona race and every Daytona 500. There's always a bonehead somewhere. And today our bonehead, in my opinion, was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I'm assuming you think it was Logano. If you want to be completely honest and totally unbiased, I think it was a little bit of both. I think Stenhouse instigated it, and then I think you hear in the video Logano let off multiple times and Stenhouse keeps coming down. So I really do put on Stenhouse, but I guess Logano could have tried to back out a little bit more. But Stenhouse was a bonehead today. I know I was very much on his team last year when he did this a couple times. Today I was not happy about it. How did you feel about it?
I actually was probably going to put blame on both of them because, again, Logano could have backed up a little bit because he was doing it most of the race where he was kind of letting off, just kind of bumping into other drivers where it would go like a chain. And then the Ricky Stenhouse was high up and he was coming down. He just kind of went. I actually thought he got some dirty air because it looked like he went like this and went boom and then hit into Logano. So that's what I was thinking. But it looked like it was both sides of the same coin, kind of hurt each other, really. And, of course, hurt Mr. Kyle Busch.
Yeah, well, I got the clip right here. Of course, I had to get this one out for us. So we'll let you guys judge for yourself. We've kind of given you guys our opinions on it. You're going to see Stenhouse is right here. This is Corey LaJoie. For those of you guys who don't know that he's going to be a part-time driver this year, doesn't know how many races he's actually going to be in. He was up front with less than 20 laps to go at the Daytona 500. But Stenhouse Jr., Logano, Kyle Busch is here. Noah Gragskins right here. Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, John Hunter Nemechek, and Denny Hamlin. And here we go.
It's in the 47 here.
Yeah, and you're going to see the 22 get a big run right here. Stenhouse is going to come down the racetrack to cover the block on Joey Logano. It's super tight, but we're 15 laps to go in the Daytona 500. See the flames come out of the Logano car. You're going to watch the 22 car start to get he's not giving up on trying to get this position, and they just all run out of room right there, Clint.
Kyle Busch got knocked to the inside as well as those cars that crashed into the outside.
I did not see him.
Joey's going to be very frustrated with that, with Stenhouse, obviously, but a little bit of patience. I think as fast as his car was, he was going to have another shot at that.
And I completely agree. If Logano would have had the ability to back off a little bit there, I think he would have had him no problem within another lap or two. Do I blame Logano though? No, because Stenhouse got beat right off the bat, and then Logano's got all the drivers behind him. It's not like he can just completely let off or hit the brake, or everybody's going to go anyways. So he can only do what he can do. I'm not trying to be a defender there, but it is kind of what it is at that point. So we're kind of in an agreement there. I'm a little surprised, to be honest, because I know how much you don't like Logano. And
no, I do not like Logano. But in that situation, like I said, it's like two sides of the same coin. They kind of both hurt each other in their own way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is two guys not willing to give up position. And again, if it's the last lap, second, third, 3 laps left to go, I don't even blame Stenhouse at that point. I just don't. This a little early, in my opinion, to be that dramatic and to have to hold your ground that bad. Stenhouse had a decent car. He was already up front. It's not like he was going to get dropped way back in the draft there, not with the way they were all stacked up. So just better judgment on both drivers there. Could have saved a lot of other cars from getting torn up and a lot of other wasted money. But we get back from the restart there, and LaJoie actually ends up being the leader when the yellow flies. When we go back to green, it's John Hunter Nemechek. I mean, did you ever think we'd be saying these names at the end of the Daytona 500? Corey LaJoie and John Hunter Nemechek and Austin Cindric?
Corey LaJoie maybe because last year he was doing a lot of that, but in like the beginning, like in stage 1s, and a little bit in stage 2s, where he would be in like that top 10 just sitting there, and then he would just start dying off, going into like the top 20. But no, I didn't expect him to be the leader at one point. And same with John Hunter Nemechek.
Well, it didn't last long because Cindric's up there, Hamlin's still up there, Christopher Bell's still there. This is what I was talking about. All these Toyotas are there now, and Cindric has all the Toyotas behind him, so he's a sitting duck here at the end. Hamlin ends up getting into the lead in front of Cindric with a really good, very good, clean move by Hamlin. And Christopher Bell ends up hanging on the outside. And it was almost like it shouldn't have happened, right? I mean, what was your, I mean, it was just like it shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. We did get some dramatics here. Some crazy video. Ryan Preece goes for an absolute ride after Christopher Bell gets spun out, gets put into the wall. This causes a whole nother accident. Let me get this thing queued up for some odd reason.
My daughter wanted me to rewind it because she saw Ryan Preece was flying. He was like Freebird. Like Freebird.
So I got Freebird just because we played it so many times last night in front of Canada's face. I got 2 clips in this. So I got the live clip from the actual race, and then I got a clip where we can actually see him. If it's not built into this one already, I'll play that too. But it's an in-car view with Preece right in front of him.
For the front gets Bell into the wall. For the front bumper, Custer, and up
in
the air.
He's just riding
Ryan Preece, and for the second time in his career, he is flipping at Daytona. Good grief.
Off the front bumper, we were talking about lap before. Custer got to his bumper. That thing went side to side, and he couldn't hold on to it. It was one too many.
Ryan Preece, a couple of years ago here, flipped down the backstretch after getting caught in the grass. There is Christopher Bell with the window net down. That signifies to the rescue workers that he is okay. Same with Ryan Preece.
Preece's net came down.
Did you see Herps was 4th when that happened? Like,
Yeah.
what? Another part-time driver.
No,
We
he's
got-
full-time now. He's full-time. He is favored to be Rookie of the Year.
Oh.
So here is a short clip of that wheelie that Priest had. I got to show you this because I was like, this is ridiculous. Watch the front tires. They just stopped moving.
This is from Eric Jones.
Watch when he's in midair. Watch.
Oh,
The tires would stop.
Locked right up.
I mean, ridiculous. The technology that is in these cars and the way that they're going to have to figure out how to keep them on the ground. Because anytime these cars get the smallest amount of air or the car lifts at all, because of that flat bottom they have for the aerodynamic package, these cars take off like airplanes. They're going to have to figure something out. I know they got all the little flaps and everything on the hoods and on the roofs and on the spoiler deck, whatever they call the back of the car on a race car. I know it's a deck lid on a sedan. They're going to have to figure something out to keep these cars down. But the great part is he had no problem. He walked out of that crash alone perfectly fine, thank God. But again, that's his second time getting airborne at Daytona, and he's not that old of a driver. So I'm sure he has his own concerns. But that was a heck of an accident. I've never seen a car do that. Have you, Aaron?
Not like that. I mean, we did have that. Was it the Corey LaJoy last year where he flipped and then proceeded to just slide on his hood? We've seen that one last year.
But to see the car just ride the wheelie,
yeah, I never seen that. No, the closest ridiculous. Maybe Josh Berry at Atlanta last year, night race. That's probably the closest.
Yeah, that was pretty close. So yeah, absolutely insane. They get that cleaned up. We are obviously at this point we're going to have overtime 2-lap shootout, and it's Cindric, it's Hamlin, Cole Custer, the sole driver to remain for Haas Stewart, or it's Haas Racing, I guess now. I want to go back real quick. Custer basically caused the previous accident. And he was doing this the entire third stage. I want to get to this right now. Why did Stewart walk away from being part owner of a team? Is it that Haas wanted Custer to drive because Custer used to drive for the NASCAR program? Then he got moved down to the Xfinity for a couple years.
And say why.
Haas break up, and now Custer is back up in the big seat. If this is the kind of racing that Custer is going to be and we're going to have to become accustomed to this year, he's going to be the new hated face in NASCAR. And it ain't going to take long.
Yep, that's why he went down to Xfinity, was because he was hitting into drivers like that. And they I think certain drivers were pulling him aside and was telling him, hey, you need to tone it down, like you need to chill, hit into us like that. And then he probably, I mean, I don't know if he didn't care and got sent down, but he's here to stay because, again, his dad's part of Haas Factory. So, but I do like Haas Factory with Sheldon Creed as well in the Xfinity team. That's good. That's really good because he always finishes top 3 in Xfinity.
I like Sheldon Creed. I like Austin Hill. There's a couple other guys down there I like in the lower ranks, and Raj Caruth. Yeah, I'm looking forward to him coming up to the ranks, and I'm looking forward to see what Frankie Muniz does.
Finished top 11.
Yeah, so I mean, we actually have some things outside of the big dogs in NASCAR to look forward to and to pay attention to right now. There are some things that are coming, but let's finish the Daytona 500 because I gotta stop doing that to us.
It's all part of Daytona.
Anyways,
it happened over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much over the weekend but so Custer could be a problem as we go on. So as soon as I see this lineup, I'm like, well, Cindric's toast. Custer's just going to get in the back of him. He's just going to push him into the wall. Now, that's not exactly what happened, but anyways, we get down to the last lap shootout. They pass on the first lap goes by. They pass the start-finish line for the final lap, and we get through the first set of turns, and then all hell breaks loose. I'm not even going to try to go over all this one with you guys. I'm just going to give you the clip of the last lap. It's the best I can do. It does it justice.
I just cared that Denny Hamlin didn't win because I didn't want that redeemed story that they put out.
I was going to be so mad if he got his fourth, but let the pros do what the pros do best.
White flag. It's one to go, and Herbst is around.
Hang on to it. Still green, still green. He saved it. It will be official if that caution comes out. Pay attention to this.
I was hoping for the caution.
Bottom of the screen.
You see Austin Cindric doing a great job driving in the mirror, doing his block. A quick move on the outside with Denny Hamlin.
Here comes the Ford to his inside. Let's
Custer
he pushes on both sides. Custer goes to the outside.
And they crash. Hamlin gets turned into the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
I kind of wanted Custer
to win
to
let the leaders race back. Here they come.
Still green. It could be a 2-time winner here.
Byron, Nemechek, Reddick.
Off
turn 4 and to the flag. Checker is waving, and
Williams
has won the 500 for the second year in a row.
Just Jimmie Johnson third.
Yes, that was the coolest part about this.
Having the Shaq logo
unbelievable 2 in a row
on his hood.
So while we have this here, let's just run it real quick. William Byron first, Tyler Reddick second, Jimmie Johnson on his, he's doing his part-time thing in NASCAR, getting a third-place finish at the Daytona 500. He's the primary owner now of that race team, Legacy Motorsports. Chase Briscoe finishes fourth after starting on the pole, having a rough start to the day, works his way back up for a top-5 finish with his new team. John Hunter Nemechek in fifth place to start the year. Mr. Bowman, sixth. Blaney, somehow, after all the damage he received and everything he'd been through, gets seventh. Cindric gets eighth somehow, too. Al Geyer, so Junior Motorsports, gets ninth for their first Daytona 500. The defending – well, no, he's not defending. He won – Buescher won Daytona in the summer race, didn't he, last year?
I think so,
he won 500 2 years ago.
I think it was.
That's what it is. He won a 500 2 years ago. He gets 10th. McDowell, again, another previous 500 winner, gets 11th. Suarez, the only Trackhouse car to make it to the end of the race, gets 12th. Eric Jones, who had a good day, 13th. Ty Dillon, 14th. Chase Elliott, 15th. And Denny Hamlin, 16th. Custer, 17th. Herbst, 18th. And do we care about the rest? Probably not. No. We move on. Aaron, Daytona 500. What do you give it, man?
Probably this year, I'll probably give it like a. If we're going letter grade, like a B minus. Just because of the accidents that transpired.
I'll give you that. I'd say a B, just because stage 2 did not lull me asleep. They get a B. I want to applaud NASCAR on not throwing the yellow flag on the last lap and letting the cars that made it through finish. I want to applaud NASCAR on saying, yeah, we're going to run this race as a night race and it's going to be A-okay. Perfectly fine with me. I think that should just be on the ticket. So if there's any track that you go to and they have lights and they are equipped to handle a night race, if you buy the tickets for a daytime race, you should automatically plan on being at the track until at least midnight, because if it rains, there's no reason that race should not run as long as they can get the track dried by 7 or 8 p.m.
Yeah, and we've had tracks like that where it's happened.
And then they don't run the race and they push them the next day. And it's like, guys, people got to work on Monday. Come on. So I applaud NASCAR on those decisions this week. Atlanta next week. Right? Atlanta next week.
And I believe William Byron won the February one too last year. Could be wrong, but I think he did.
Nah, Suarez won Atlanta last year because that was the closest finish in history.
Yes, that was the .001.
Yeah, that was the 3-wide finish. So, looking forward to that. It's going to be a good race. Like I said, guys, the whole idea is to cut this show and make it a little bit shorter for us. Not for us, but for you guys. Aaron will be handling the comments when we are both here. I was playing that. Hold on. Flea Market Floppy Disk. Hey, what's up, Flea Market Floppy Disk? I remember you from last year. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. See us playing NASCAR Thunder 2004 from Dirt to Daytona the other night. Still great games. You know what? I don't know if I ever played that NASCAR game. Did you?
Not that one. The last one I did was the one where Casey Kane was the 9 car before he went to Hendrick.
That's old. That's old. I do have NASCAR Heat 5 because the PlayStation Store ran a deal on it for like $4.99 a couple years back, and I was just like, I'm in a NASCAR game, sure, why not?
I remember playing NASCAR 99.
Yeah, well, I had NASCAR, dude. I had NASCAR on a DOS 1995 Packard Bell computer, ran on DOS. I still have the game. Not that I can play it. It didn't run on DOS. It ran on ROM. It was a CD-ROM game. But I can remember playing that. And you had Rusty Wallace, but his car didn't say Miller on it. It said Rusty. So none of the beer cars had any of the beer logos. They had the beer paint schemes, but the logos were just the drivers' names because they couldn't put the alcohol advertisements in the games. I thought it was so. I've had my fair share of NASCAR games. I did not play that one. Flea Market Floppy Disk. Aaron, good race at Atlanta next week. Barring we don't end up in this situation again where the race ends 30 minutes before we're supposed to start the show. Production value should be a little bit better next week.
Just a little.
If we get a situation again, we'll see what happens. But next week, Aaron will be here. Hopefully, I will be here. Same time, same place. Everybody, thanks for coming in and stopping by and hanging out with us. Get in the comment section next week. Aaron's going to be paying attention to the comment section as much as he can so he can answer back to you guys, get you in the conversation. Go to Variety Sports Network on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Subscribe, like, share. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining the Next Left Turn.